So the next category we move into is pure enjoyment. And these are irons that basically you could just pull out of the bag or, go get fit and just have fun playing with. They look good, they feel good, they're not, they're forgiving, they go a long way, they kind of do it all. But it's just one of those things where you just have fun playing with them. It makes the game a little bit easier. And, so it's kind of an interesting one. Again, we're going to have, almost every one of these other than two we've kind of already mentioned, which isn't a shock when you hear the list. They're all really good irons. So, and we'll start with the pure enjoyment, the Ping G430. We talked about it before. It's just that iron that Ping has just refined over the years, and they just keep making it better. They don't miss. If you just want to go have fun playing golf, it would be hard not to grab if you just said, hey, go on the second swing wall, grab a set of irons that you're just going to have fun and go play with, beverage in the hand, whatever. G430 be a tough one to pass up as you walk by that wall, because it looks good, it's going to perform, you don't have to have a perfect swing, the ball's going to go, and you're probably going to hit some accurate shots and have a good time playing them.
Yeah, there's nothing that there's no issues or questions about this one, in the sense that if you're going to go out there and you're just trying to hit golf shots at your target, that's exactly what Ping G430 accomplishes. We talked about the technology and how it looks, and it's a much better look than maybe the past models. In terms of pure enjoyment for the masses, I very deserving for the G430 here.
Yep. And then another one that we've talked a good amount about, I feel like it's on here a lot, the TaylorMade P790. Again, I think it's, as you mentioned before, the tech that's backed into it, the foam filled. It's just, again, one of those ones that you can just line up, point, shoot, and you're probably going to hit a pretty straight ball towards your target. It's pretty consistent, and you're just going to have fun hitting shots with that, and you're not going to get as frustrated with those misses because they're just not going to come out as bad.
Right, and it's so long too. Like, it's probably longer than the irons you're playing. So that in itself is probably a little bit fun. So the P790, I'm not surprised at all to see that on this list here.
Yep. And then, of course, as you mentioned it, the trophy case is pretty full. Srixon's ZX5 Mark II makes it onto here. And again, I think, you and I have talked about it in the other categories a lot, that this has been, chosen in. Good feel, good look, ton of tech. It's long, it's straight. It's just one of those, you don't have to really think about it a whole lot. You don't have to worry about it. You're just going to go out and hit the ball solid.
I think it's interesting. I wanted to point out now, I just kind of thought of this, but it says something about the ZX5 Mark II that it's in the pure enjoyment category here. We had it in the most tech-packed category. When there is a ZX4 Mark II, that is a fantastic iron in its own right. So, but I think it says something that the ZX5 is so, it is very forgiving and so playable that it can kind of match up into these different categories for these different golfers. The ZX5 Mark II is fantastic. I can see why it's gotten so much great feedback in the testing that I've done. If you're kind of starting out, maybe you've been playing golf, say, for a year or so, and you're really trying to get your first sort of set of irons, a real set where you're going to play a lot more and move that handicap up, say under 25 or under 20. This is a really good one to start with.
Yeah, and it's one that probably stay in your bag for a while. I know there's always people always mention when they start getting into the game and they finally go get fit, all that, going, well, what if I get a little better? I have aspirations of playing better or whatever. How long are these irons going to last? And I think an iron like the ZX5 or any in this category, if you get to that level where you're into that iron, you probably can be a low single digit, still play it with a whole lot of success, and it's not going to really limit you in any way. Any of these irons really in this category. Mm-hmm. So we'll finally get into two new ones we can talk about.
There we go.
So we go with the Mizuno JPX 923, the hot metals, the standard hot metal. What do you got on those?
Just a ton of ball speed with these. I think, if you were to do a kind of a comparison, say, of all the irons on this list, and you tested the ball speeds, this would be up there, if not the fastest. It's incredibly fast, even across the face. And so from that perspective, there's a ton of potential enjoyment out there to be had with this set in the bag.
Yep, and I like with this one too, where they kind of went with it a little bit. I think for me, when I kind of saw the lineup, I thought these would kind of be a little too close to the JPX 923 Forged or the Pro, and I was like, well, how close are all three of these irons going to be? Because there's a lot of hot metal irons at the moment. And then when you saw them, you said, okay, they definitely made these just a touch bigger, a little bit, just a hair more offset, just that touch thicker top line. And I think it fits perfectly in the line once you saw it. When you, like I said, on paper, I thought it was a little confusing, but once you saw it, I said, this is perfect for the player who needs it. And this is that player who needs just that little bit more distance, that little bit more forgiveness. The JPX 923 Pro, it definitely has its own little slot. And it's a good looking iron that produces a ton of speed. If you go into a fitting and your first objective is, I want to hit it a little farther. I want to be, maybe not a club, but I want to have a little shorter club into these par fours or then these par threes, whatever. This is a great iron that you're going to get good feel, great sound. There's that Mizuno look, and they're just going to perform really well, and you're going to get that distance out of them. So a really solid iron on this list.
Agree completely with that.
And then the Titleist T200, the slightly, the multi-piece iron from Titleist there. I mean, I actually have the T200s in my 150 set, my 4 and 5 iron of the T200s, and I do say easy to hit. They go in the air. They're long. I remember the first time I hit the 5 iron on the course, I, was shocked at how far it carried. I mean, it just really is an easy set to hit. And again, like a Titleist, you set it down, it doesn't look super big. It doesn't look, it doesn't have a ton of offset. The top line's not super thin, but it's not bad. And you would think, again, I think you mentioned on one of them how you don't see the back of it. You only see a sliver in like the 4 iron. The rest of it you don't see the backs, and you would think you would. But the other thing too, Titleist, such an improvement in feel and sound on the T200 from last year to this gen.
That's what I was going to mention, is how much cleaner it looks, and the sound is way better. And they even, when we got to chat with Titleist about it, they, mentioned right away, like, we know we have some improvement that could be had with this T200, talking about the previous model, and they really cleaned it up nicely. It sounds fantastic, it looks fantastic, and then you got all the, player's distance performance that you could want in this T200 model. So really good one here for sure.
Yeah, and they didn't go too crazy with the low spin. I mean, when you get a lot of these irons, they're pretty low spin irons, but they didn't go too crazy, too low. So, you don't have to worry so much about, hit it out of the rough, you get some crazy flyer or, a big hot spot or something like that, or a spot on the face. They really are consistent for, being a multi-piece kind of longer distance iron. Mm-hmm. So that is the pure enjoyment category. And again, we've got the Ping G430, TaylorMade P790, Srixon ZX5 Mark II, Mizuno JPX 923 Hot Metal, and the Titleist T200.